Welcome to the 17th episode of the second season of The Pulpiteer. I'm your host, Eric Hepburn, and I'm glad to have you join us for today's episode. Today's episode is called Sticks and Stones. It's about the power of words, inflected a bit by the gratitude of this season. Okay, this week we'll start with a segment we call This World House, about covenant, then move into our word of wisdom, delivered this week by Chris Bourdain. Now we pause to honor the great world house of which we are a part, lifting up the needs, the hopes, and the voices beyond these doors. Sometimes I think that one of the greatest offerings to the world of Unitarian Universalism's Congregationalist roots is the covenant. It reminds me sometimes of my earlier days as a social theorist, of the social compact from antiquity, but made by real agreement. This is the central compact and covenant that we use in this church. Seek to connect. Take time to reflect. Be direct. Speak with respect. Let's pause for just a minute and ask what it means and what agreements it represents. Seek to connect. We are a relationship-first community. With each other and with our guests, we seek genuine and authentic connection with one another, and we see it as the glue of our congregation. Take time to reflect. We commit to hearing the witness of others, and we take time to listen and reflect and honor that witness. Our generosity is that we assume with one another and with others that we have more to learn from them than to teach them. That is our anti-colonialist promise, that we have more to learn from others than we have to teach them. It changes how we show up. It changes our attentiveness. It changes our level of care. Be direct. We are honest, vulnerable, forthright in our speech. We are silent if the words we wish to speak are not true, helpful, inspiring, necessary, and kind. The acronym is THINK. My spouse and I have both had that poster on our walls in our work offices for years. Think. True, helpful, inspiring, necessary, and kind. It's a great checklist for asking if the thing that's about to come out of your mouth should. Speak with respect. In the words of Parker Palmer, who is not a UU, by the way, he's a Quaker, an excellent Quaker, in the running for most excellent Quaker, in my humble opinion. In his small group work, here's what he says: no fixing, advising, saving, or straightening out. I think it bears repeating. No fixing, advising, saving, or straightening out. Now we're here for with each other, no matter how you were raised or how I was raised. Unsolicited advice is not respectful. Solicited advice is cause for serious consideration. Even solicited advice is cause for serious consideration. And that is today's take on the Great World House.
Let us enter a quiet place within, opening our hearts and minds to receive this voice of wisdom. We've all heard the original proverb, "Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me." Sometimes people say it as a defense, sometimes as a taunt. But the truth is the proverb isn't true. Words can hurt. Some offer this variation. Sticks and stones can break your bones, but words can never hurt you unless you believe them. Then they can destroy you. That's interesting. Maybe the words can only hurt you if you believe them. Maybe. That sounds more true. But our favorite remake of this proverb, it was written by Robert Fulghum. Sticks and stones will break our bones, but words will break our hearts. That's pretty interesting because it can be true when someone says something mean to us or about us. But it can also be true when we read a beautiful but tragic story or poem or song. And that which has the power to hurt also has the power to heal. That which has the power to break also has the power to repair. Join me in a brief moment of silence, grateful for the power of words.
Thank you, Chris. Sticks and stones. I know there are art supplies on your table, and we're going to talk about them real soon. I just want you to know, if you decided to start decorating already, there is no wrong way. It's all good. If you've been holding back, waiting for instruction, but there's something on your heart that yearns to be represented in leaf or stone, rock on. Just rock on. Stone on. No, see, it just hasn't had the same ring, does it, to say stone on. It has different connotations. Amen. So we can use words to hurt, and we can use words to heal. We can use sticks and stones by throwing them at people, or we can use sticks and stones to build them a house, or make art, or plant a garden. As a matter of fact, if we leave the sticks and stones long enough, exposed to time and weather and wind and water long enough, they become the soil that feeds a new generation of life. So, in front of you, you have representations of sticks and stones, some leaves and some stones and some art supplies. And this came to our church through the work that the kids have been doing with Candace on gratitude. And the original idea is that the stones are gratitude stones. So you can put a symbol or a word, something that reminds you of gratitude that you think about, or that you think would help spurn gratitude in others. The leaf cards can have the name of someone to whom you owe gratitude, a word or a phrase that you want to practice more generously, or a word perhaps that you want to leave behind. Oh, come on, not even a little chuckle. I saw lots of like, oh, dad joke. Yeah, it's a pretty bad dad joke. I could have air quoted, you want to leave behind? Is that worse? Now that's bad enough to be funny. Right, I just didn't cross the threshold into bad enough to be funny. Fair. Note taken. I'm going to share a saying with you. It has a lot of different manifestations. I did one of those dumb internet deep dives, and this version of it first began appearing in American newspapers in the late 1880s. Plant a thought, reap a word. Plant a word, reap an action. Plant an action, reap a habit. Plant a habit and reap a character. Plant a character and reap a destiny. Now, this planting and reaping language for us older folks in the room is not hard to interpret, but let me interpret it for the kids. Planting, we know, right? We put seeds in the ground, water, light, all that stuff. Reaping is when we harvesting. Nice job. That's right. Reaping is harvesting. And there's another thing that's in some of our favorite wisdom books that talks about how you can't harvest that which you never planted. Yeah. So like, if you want to harvest kindness, you got to plant some first. If you want to harvest generosity, you got to plant some. So I'm going to add to this list. What do you want to plant? What is the deepest thing you can plant that, when reaped, changes everything? For you, for the people you love, for this world that you want to see future generations inherit. Like, what seed do you want to plant? Maybe the word at the center there, or one of its 6 companions, comes to mind for you. Maybe you want to write community. Maybe when you write community, you are picturing the network of fungi that connects all the trees in a forest to each other. Maybe when you write the word community, it is spindly and brown and gossamer, and it reaches through the soil so that the trees can share information and nitrogen and nutrients with each other, so that they can help defend each other against predators by speaking their own love language. Or maybe your version of community is the canopy of the trees, maybe all brown stalks and green leaves. Maybe your version of community are the rocks and the stones. Maybe there's a big stack of stones or a carved piece of marble that is what you love and what you need and what you aspire to when you dream of community. So, if you came here and you thought that the stuff in the center of the table was for the kids, rude awakening time. It's for you. And just like everything in life, you can opt out. But the treasure you seek is in the cave you fear to enter. The treasure you seek is in the cave you fear to enter. So I invite you to put your scariest wish down in front of you on a leaf or a stone. I'm going to play a little music while we do this, and we're going to take a few minutes. And this is not about the quality of your artwork. This is an invitation for you to open your heart and to let it come out. Yes, Miss Emily. I can. I may have made the error of giving too many potential prompts. Children, you are allowed to tell me, Eric, you've got to stop being this level of complicated during all ages services. I have weaknesses. I have the good fortune of not being 100% entirely unaware of them. A simple symbol or word to remind you about gratitude. A seed that you want to plant because you think that its harvest is what you need, or this community needs, or the world needs. Someone to whom you owe gratitude and is on your heart this morning. A word or phrase that you want to practice more generously. Or, if this is what's true for you, a word you want to leave behind. My love is a verdant, flowering thing. It is a garden in springtime, but one aware that fall is coming. There are baskets at the welcome table. Candace has them now. They'll be back at the welcome table at some point when we're all done. You may take your offering home and put it somewhere that matters to you, or you can leave it here and we will find places of honor for these objects for a while. I have one more thought. That I want to share with y'all this morning before we go have our Thanksgiving potluck of gratitude. There was an interview in the New York Times in 2020 where Tom Hanks talked about the rules that he and his wife Rita use in their child rearing. And here are the 5 rules that they used. Number 1, I love you. No notes. Perfect. Number 2, there's nothing you can do wrong. This one takes a little unpacking. I'm going to invite you to do this on your own time. This one is worth unpacking. And the unpacking is not whether or not the kids can do something dangerous or destructive or whatever. That's not the question here. The question is how you use the concept of wrong in your parenting. That's the deep challenge. Can they learn from your need to label things as wrong? I want you to hear the difference. We're talking today about the power of words. I want you to hear the difference between wrong and not acceptable. I want you to hear the difference between wrong and hurtful. I want you to hear the difference between wrong and destructive. It's not an intellectual thing. It's not about the meaning of the word. It's about the locus of care in your attention. And it doesn't just apply to kids. It applies to how we are with one another. Whether being in judgment or out of judgment is a better space for us to grow the communities we want to have. And it's a brilliant prompt. That's why I'm reading it to you. Thank you, Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson. Number 3, we're going to circle back to this one because today is sticks and stones. You cannot hurt my feelings. We're going to circle back to that. I got some things to say. But number 4, I hope you will forgive me on occasion. I hope you will forgive me on occasion. Because as a parent, you are going to mess up. As a parent, I have messed up. There are some ways that I have messed up that are deep enough and painful enough years later, even now, that I could not speak of them without deep tears and sobbing. And the words that can hurt can also heal. And to me, I hope you will forgive me on occasion is a lovely signpost at the beginning of the trailhead of repair in our relationships. Not, I am entitled to your forgiveness. Not, I have to have it. Not that you owe it to me. But I hope from time to time, as our relationship unfolds, that it might happen. I hope from time to time you might be able to forgive me for some times when I intentionally or unintentionally hurt you. It's a powerful wish. It is a well-centered wish. And number 5, there's a reason it's at the end of the list. And what do you need me to do? And what do you need me to do? What do you need from me right now? I don't know if y'all remember this. One of the first sermons I gave in this church was about Marshall Rosenberg, who was the father of nonviolent communication. And he says that every human action and every human interaction is an attempt to get our needs met. And if we understand that, we can see how badly misguided some of our thoughts, deeds, and actions are, because they thwart often the very thing we hope to get done. They work against. I need your love and affection and attention, so I say something hurtful to you. How many times have you seen that happen? How many times have you done it? He says that they are tragic ways, tragic expressions of humans trying to get their needs met most of the time. So we learn through his work to put on our giraffe ears. Do you know why he says giraffe? Anybody? Anybody know anything interesting about giraffes? I'm looking for fourth graders. This is fourth grader kind of knowledge. The giraffe has the largest heart of any land animal. The giraffe it's that long neck and the brain thing. It's got to pump a long way. But the giraffe has the largest heart of any land animal. And so he says we learn to listen with our giraffe ears. So when someone says, you don't love me, we don't hear, I'm a bad person, I'm incapable of emotion and feeling and compassion and love. We hear, I need your love. Because that's what they're really trying to say, but they can't. They don't know how to be that vulnerable. So they express it in the only way they know how, as an accusation. But we can choose how we hear it. And we can choose to be open and curious to the needs of others instead of, to go back to number two, sitting in judgment about them. Well, they're just rude. That's why they said that to me. Or they're just hurtful. They're, what's the word? Wrong. All right, let's go back to number 3, because number 3 is the one where I've preached several times about near enemies. A near enemy is a thing that sounds like wisdom but ain't. A near enemy is a thing that sounds like a virtue but it's not. The most common example that gets used to explain the concept is that empathy is a true virtue. I'm willing to sit beside you in your pain and resonate with my ability to relate to, I have also had heartbreak in my life. I have had fear. I have had whatever you're in. I'm not taking your pain on. I'm not pretending it's my own. I'm not doing the comparison thing where I tell you how, oh, I had that once, but mine was worse. I'm not doing any of that. I'm just with you in your pain. That's empathy. I'm willing to sit with you in your time of darkness. That's empathy. Now, the near enemy of empathy is pity. Have you ever had anybody pity you? Did it make you feel loved and wanted and accepted? No. It made you feel like, oh, I'm so sorry you're feeling that way. You over there. Yeah, poor you. Oh, bless his heart. Better him than me. That's the subtext, isn't it? When we pity somebody, the subtext is better them than me. I'd rather pretend that I don't know what it's like to be heartbroken or to make a mistake that makes me weep. I'd rather pretend that I have no idea about this deep and painful aspect of humanity that's showing up for that person in that moment. I'm not willing, I'm not brave enough, I'm not courageous enough to get close to that. So I'm going to stand over here in judgment instead and have pity for you. Do you see how it goes toxic to have a near enemy? Do you see how the true thing calls you into deeper relationship? It begs you to show up, to be present, deeply present with another human being who needs you in that moment. But the near enemy does the opposite. And that's why you cannot hurt my feelings is a near enemy. And that's why sticks and stones can break my bones, but words will never hurt me is a near enemy. So let's talk about it and let's do some discernment about why. Maybe, when your teenage child pushes your buttons as they know how to do. They are not asking you, does that place hurt? They're asking you to show them how to react when someone you love hurts you. They're showing you. They're begging you. Model this for me. It's hard. I don't know how to do it. When someone you love hurts you and they touch you in that place that you wish no one would touch, how do I still love them? How do I admit how much that hurt? How do I, Mom, Dad, Aunt, Uncle, Grandpa, cousin, neighbor, how do I do that? That's what they're asking for from you. They're asking for the seasoning of wisdom to show them that there's a way through pain like that. That's what they need from you in that moment. And you don't get it by pretending it's not happening. That's what concerns me about these phrases. That's what concerns me about the misunderstandings of Stoicism that are out there in the culture. It's what bothers me about the Nicene Creed of the 600th or 700th century AD, where they declared that mourning the death of others was a sign you didn't believe in heaven. Don't grieve. Grieving means you don't really believe that they're going to live forever. No, grieving means you lost something that you loved, that was worthy of your love, and whose absence is worthy of your heartbreak. You refusing to be heartbroken about it doesn't help. Just like you pretending that your kids can't find your buttons and can't hurt your feelings doesn't help. It's understandable, but there is a difference between reacting and being reactive, in the same way that there's a difference between saying that's not okay and that's wrong. Words are spells. They matter. Now, they are fingers pointing at the moon. We can't capture the truth in words. We can't wrap it up. We can't own it. We can't control it. But we can stand shoulder to shoulder and point at it. Point at the truth. Point at the deep mysteries of life over and over again until we understand one another. Until we think we've zeroed in on the heart of the thing. And that is an activity worth doing. But to do it, we have to show up admitting we can be hurt. And admitting that the words from those we love the most are the things to which we are often the most vulnerable. Because when we love someone, we want to believe them. And when they say hard things to us, well, sometimes they're just hard. And sometimes we can find our giraffe ears and we can hear the truth underneath what they're saying. And sometimes we can't. And sometimes, to use again the words of Marshall Rosenberg, all we hear is their jackal voice complaining and criticizing us. And our insecurities well up and we become reactive. That's what that's trying to do. I'm not calling it ill-conceived, or I'm just saying that the nuance of the thing is off just enough to matter deeply in the long run. I'm not suggesting that every time your kid, especially the littler they are, says something hurtful or tries to push your buttons, that you're like emotionally blackmailing them with your overreaction of emotion, like, I can't believe you said that to me, blah, 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 blah. Don't you know how much I've sacrificed for you? Have you heard this kind of parenting before? Yeah, so I'm not suggesting that that is healthy. That kind of reactivity is not what the lesson that they are asking for. If you can put your giraffe ears on, the lesson they're asking for is like how to overreact when someone pokes you. That's not what they're asking for. I think we've covered that. So that's the far enemy that this kind of advice is trying to keep you away from. Being an overly reactive, thin-skinned, not able to take the perspective of your own child in the interaction because you're too wrapped up in how you're feeling and you haven't done enough of your own healing work to stop yourself from overreacting every time your buttons get pushed. If that's you, there's lots of help out there. and it's okay, and it's normal, and it's human, and come see me. Just come see me. And I don't mean that as a hidden judgment. I know there's giggles because it is kind of funny for me to say it, but I mean it as in, like, it is okay. I have been there. We have all been there. Some of us spend big portions of our day still there in different aspects of our lives, including me. There are areas of my life in which I am overreactive. That one in the yellow shirt back there is one of them. The hardest thing for me. I don't know why. My joke was this. Even when he was little, my joke, you can ask my wife, my joke was, I don't know what happened. I spent my whole life building this amazing suit of armor, and he was born inside of it. I spent my life building this armor so that being raised in a volatile household in a crazy world, I could walk through it without getting hurt every day. And then suddenly he shows up and he's inside my damn armor. Like the things that would not trigger me from any other human being in the world, he does them, and suddenly I'm like, oh. I'm like, where did that come from? Holy cow. Whoo! So, this is an invitation. You now have the little beginnings of a seed of a tool of giraffe ears in your pocket. You now have in your pocket the little seed of an idea that there's a difference between being reactive and just simply choosing to try to pretend like you're not reacting. Here's the other thing. I'm looking at the time. All right. So, some of you are operating under the illusion that when you pretend stuff, other people don't notice. If I pretend I'm not having an emotional reaction to this thing that they just said, they won't notice. Nice try. Thanks for playing. Please come back next week. Everybody else is not a lot dumber than you. I'm just going to say it out loud. Everybody else is just not a lot dumber than you. And when something happens and you see somebody trying to pretend like it ain't happening, why are you colluding and pretending like you don't notice that you don't see them pretending? Like, come on, man. Like, if we're going to really show up and be adults with each other and show our kids how to grow up into being adults with us, we got to stop that kind of pretending. We got to stop that kind of pretending. Like, that kind of pretending is the world we live in now. The toxic one that drives you nuts every day. That's the pretending. And imagining that your kids are not going to pick up on it. It's like the parents who only fight in the bedroom with the door closed. They're just adding another bad lesson to the bad lesson of bad conflict management, which is not only are we doing bad conflict management, but we're doing bad pretending. And we're not talking about it with you. So now we have 3 lessons. I'm going to teach you how to ignore the most important thing that's happening in our home and pretend it's not happening. I'm going to teach you how to pretend and turn the other eye so that we don't ever talk about what's really going on. And I'm going to teach you that the best way to have a fight is behind closed doors and pretend it's not happening. Like, oh man, it's like all snarled. But none of it's good. None of it's good. Maybe what your kids need from you in that moment. Maybe your kids started the fight between you. That happens. Show me how to have a fight with someone you love without trying to hurt them. Show me how to have a disagreement with someone that you love and share space and life and breath and sustenance with without lashing out, without getting activated, without turning it into a trauma trigger fest. I've never seen that, Mom and Dad. I've never seen that in the world. Show me how to do that. I don't say this stuff because it's easy. I say it because I know it's hard. And there are probably a lot of you in here, like me, like I have, who believe that it might not be possible. The families we came from never modeled such a thing. And you wonder sometimes, is it possible to have a fight or a disagreement where we don't try to tear each other up? What does that look like? We deserved to know what it looked like. We deserved to have it modeled for us. Let's not turn our poverty into our children's poverty, shall we? Let's figure it out so that they can see it practiced. Amen. Until next time, thank you for joining us on The Pulpiteer. If you enjoyed the podcast, you can help others find it by liking and subscribing. If you'd like to support the podcast directly, you can make a donation at sangabrieluu.org/give. The Pulpiteer podcast is a production of the San Gabriel Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Georgetown, Texas. The podcast is hosted by Spotify, and theme music is by John Thaler. Our live recording tech crew this week was Frank Sanders, Rob Bertold, Keith Hutchinson, and Andrew McDinn. The podcast was produced and performed by Eric Hepler. See you next week.